Friday night at Moonlight Lanes promised an evening of fun and laughter with friends. The familiar scent of popcorn and freshly waxed floors greeted me as I stepped into the neon-lit bowling alley. I could barely hold in my excitement. Little did I know that the innocent game of strikes and spares would soon spiral into a sinister nightmare. The air hummed with the sound of rolling balls and crashing pins as my friends and I made our way to our assigned lane. The flickering lights cast eerie shadows on the worn-out carpet, and a chill ran down my spine as I realized just how empty the alley seemed. The bowling alley was really cheap and run down. The place was so old school. Most of the seating area and concession was lit up with candles. It looked as if they were trying to cut down on cost. The last time I let my friends pick where we go, but I brushed aside my unease, eager to join in the festivities. The promise of a strike and the thrill of competition drowned out the lingering sense of emptiness that filled the entire bowling alley. As the night wore on, however, that sense of unease only grew stronger. The air grew heavy, with the scent of sweat and stale beer, mingling with the acrid stench of feet from the unkept bowling alley carpets. It was a nauseating combination, one that seemed to permeate every corner of the alley. But it wasn't just the smell that unsettled me, it was the feeling of being watched, of unseen eyes boring into the back of my skull with a malevolent intensity. I glanced around nervously, searching for the source of my discomfort, but the shadows seemed to shift and dance just out of reach, teasing me with their elusiveness. And then, as I prepared to take my turn, it happened. A sudden gust of wind swept through the alley, extinguishing the flickering candles on our table and plunging us into darkness. The sound of crashing pins was replaced by an eerie silence, broken only by the distant hum of machinery and the faint rustle of fabric. I felt a cold shiver run down my spine as I peered into the darkness, my heart hammering in my chest. There was something in the shadows, something lurking just beyond the edge of my vision, waiting to pounce. With trembling hands, I reached for my phone, the soft glow of the screen offering me a sliver of comfort in the darkness. But as I fumbled with the buttons, a voice whispered in my ear, a voice that sent a chill down my spine and turned my blood to ice. "Join us," it hissed, its words dripping with malice. "Join us in the darkness." I recoiled in horror, my mind reeling with fear and disbelief. Who or what could be lurking in the shadows, taunting me with its sinister whispers? But before I could react, the lights flickered back to life, bathing the alley in an eerie glow. My friends were staring at me, their faces pale with shock and confusion. "What happened?" one of them asked, her voice trembling with fear. I shook my head, unable to find the words to describe the horror that had just unfolded before me. It felt like a nightmare, a twisted, surreal nightmare from which I couldn't wake. But as I glanced around the alley, I realized that the darkness had not yet released its grip. The shadows seemed to pulse and shift, alive with the malevolent energy that sent a shiver down my spine. With a sense of dread sinking in the pit of my stomach, I knew that our night at Moonlight Lanes was far from over. The darkness had awakened something ancient and sinister, something that hungered for our souls. As we made our way to the exit, I couldn't shake the feeling that we were being watched, that the shadows themselves were closing in around us, ready to swallow us whole. As we stepped out into the parking lot, I couldn't shake the feeling that we had narrowly escaped something truly sinister, that the darkness of the bowling alley held secrets far darker than we could ever imagine. But for now, we were safe. And as we drove away from Moonlight Lanes, the distant glow of the neon lights fading in the rearview mirror, I knew that I would never forget the night that the shadows came alive and we found the strength to escape their grasp.